Hi, I'm Eric Robinson and welcome to my weight loss mini series. We're going to dive into video one in just a second, but I just wanted to introduce you so you know who I am, and you're going to be seeing me in the webcam as we go along in the next few slides together. Hi everyone, and welcome to our first video in our series, How to Get Your Goddess Body, a 7-day weight loss mini series. This is presented by yours truly, Erica L. Robinson. I am the founder of the Divine Life Health Coaching Inc. Now, I'll be getting into a bit more about myself and my story and my credentials in just a moment, but I want to dive into the good stuff to make sure that you're in the right place. So today we're going to be talking about a unique female fat loss mechanism that sheds 25 pounds in 6 weeks by combining hormone rebalancing with addressing emotional and spiritual reasons for weight gain. And why rebalancing these hormones and the emotional reasons that you gained weight will help you get your goddess body, effectively losing stubborn body fat while preserving muscle. And overall, why a holistic approach is required to address the root cause of your weight gain on multiple levels to finally rid you of this issue and prevent it from coming back. So there is shocking new evidence for women showing that our weight loss capacity is much more affected by hormones and even our own emotions than it is for men. There's also evidence out of Harvard showing how hormonal imbalances you might not even know you have can be blocking your ability to lose weight the normal way through exercise and diet. Now, here's what I discovered through researching thousands of patients in my and my colleagues' private practice and combining it with cutting-edge evidence out of prestigious institutions like Harvard and Rockefeller. There are certain women for whom typical methods of weight loss just won't work because they have subclinical hormone imbalances. Subclinical hormonal imbalances are rarely looked for, tested for, or diagnosed. That's why they carry the name subclinical. Things aren't bad enough to warrant your doctor investigating deeper, and yet they are bad enough to cause stubborn weight gain. And if you are actually diagnosed with a hormonal condition, this video applies to you even more, as we'll get into. Today, you're going to learn how to identify if you have one of these imbalances right away, plus what to do about it so you can finally start losing weight. We're talking an average of 25 to 40 pounds lost in 6 weeks. For these women, they do not respond normally to any of the diets or exercises out there. And in fact, these typical methods can actually worsen their weight. I know firsthand because not only did I work with and treat these women in my private practice, I was one of them. And I discovered through my research that there is a unique fat loss mechanism that occurs when we pair evidence-based natural strategies for rebalancing hormones with targeting the mental, emotional, even spiritual causes of weight gain. In fact, here's a picture of me before and after putting this unique combination of techniques to the test for just under 6 weeks, so for 40 days. So here's me on the left, that's day 1, and then on the right we see day 40. And you can see a substantial shift there in the way that my body looks. In that time frame, I lost 25 pounds. I lost 2 dress sizes, so I went from a size 8 to a size 4, and 6% body fat in that time. Not to mention 4 inches off of my waist in 40 days. And now I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of weight to lose, but I lost 25 pounds and it made such a significant difference in the way that I looked and of course the way that I felt about myself, which we will get much deeper into that in the future videos to come. So it wasn't always that way. I want you to know that. I gained 25 pounds after having my daughter Alice, and I kept it on for 4 years. I tried what felt like everything from the paleo diet to the keto diet to the 21-day fix to Beachbody workouts to hiring a personal trainer for one-on-one sessions 3 times a week for 10 months. That's an investment that costs over 10K. And I literally left the gym the exact same weight as when I started 10 months prior. So trust me when I say that it was only when I discovered this unique combination of natural techniques to rebalance my hormones that all 25 pounds dropped off of me in only 6 weeks. My body returned to the way it wanted to be, but previously couldn't because hormonal imbalances were in my way. Not only did it work well for me, but I went and put it to the test on over 65 women, ranging from the ages of 30 to 75. And now, just so you know, only 3 of us were in our 30s. They all got the same results or better, some taking off as much as 40 to 50 pounds in 6 to 8 weeks. And I share that remark with you about age because a lot of women think that the older they are, that this won't work for them. But in fact, the opposite is true. The closer you are to menopause, the better this works for you. And I will get into that throughout our series. One woman even took off 100 pounds over an 11-month span. These results are typical, and I'm going to explain the exact mechanisms why this unique combination delivers every single time for the right woman. Now, I say these results are typical because bodies like the FDA and Health Canada, even Facebook ads are very strict on me about what I can say to people. But the fact is, this isn't one of those things where you have very atypical people who will lose 100 pounds. In fact, this is typical, and I will explain why. And I'll explain why literally all 65 women lost at least 25 pounds, if not more. Specifically, this approach works for women like us with hormonal imbalances, which typically crop up after having a baby or around menopause, though they can actually happen at any time. I'm also going to get deeper into my story of how I discovered that emotional eating, psychological, and even spiritual issues were keeping me fat and unhappy and perpetuating my hormonal imbalances. But I'll save that story for later because I want to get started in helping you as soon as possible. Today, I'm going to share with you a 7-part weight loss mini-series that takes a look under the hood at the real reason you've had to struggle all this time. And most importantly, what you can do about it. My name is Erica Robinson, like I shared at the start. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, and I hold a Doctor of Naturopathy degree from the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I'm a former naturopathic doctor, and I gave up private practice to bring a larger message to the world. Hormonal imbalances you probably don't even know you have are the biggest block and reason you aren't losing weight. What you'll also discover is that this is completely inside of your control and capacity to transform naturally. And lastly, what you're going to discover is that as women, our emotions and mindset play a pivotal role in hormonal flow and therefore our access to having our goddess bodies. When I say mindset, I mean on a mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual level, we're doing something major that is blocking us from having the healthy hormones, the weight, and the body that we really want. Today's series is going to dive into all of that so that you can understand how this happened and where to go from here. Now, this is what I call the Goddess Body Guidelines. A unique combination of nutrients and lifestyle techniques that can help women achieve Venus or goddess measurements. So this is the famous statue Venus de Milo, and she's said to model ideal ratios of the female form. Now, what you'll notice by looking at her, I mean, obviously she's missing her arms, so we're gonna take that into account, right? The proper statue got damaged sometime in the past. But if you look at her, she has a very natural look to her body. She's not, super stick skinny. She has some good fat on her, and she's got a good shape. The Greek version of this goddess, so the Greek version of Venus de Milo, is Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. She has a waist to hip ratio of 0.7. Now, this number is correlated with sex appeal, beauty, and with beautifully functioning hormones. So, not to mention a low risk of chronic disease. What I'm saying is the same things that make a woman look attractive and have a goddess body are good health and healthy hormones, which is also correlated with, obviously, a lower risk of disease. So it's no coincidence that we find that form attractive, because it is the form associated with vibrant health. Even if Venus seems like a far off ideal, these techniques can help any woman suffering from subclinical hormonal imbalances that she doesn't even know she has, to finally shed the weight. And believe me when I say your goddess body is possible. So let's check if you're in the right place. Do any of these sound like you? Have you been trying to lose weight unsuccessfully for years? Have you tried multiple methods, none of which have worked or lasted? Did you gain even more weight afterwards? Do you already eat a healthy diet and exercise but see no results on the scale? Do you feel frustrated, angry, or even depressed about your body? Are you tired of depriving yourself of normal foods, seeing weight gain from the slightest of cheats, while your friends and family eat more than you and are thinner than you? Do you find yourself hiding out from photos or positioning yourself so no one can see how much weight you've gained? Are you terrified to see your naked reflection in the mirror? Are you in denial of all the clothes you can no longer wear in your closet? Are you confined to stretchy black yoga clothes? And do you fear shopping because you'll have to admit you're another size larger? Do you feel like you are developing your mother's body despite your best intentions? Have you put everyone else's needs before yours and ended up with a body that you dislike or even resent? Do you feel like your weight has impacted your capacity to move forward in your career, or has you hesitant to interact with people because your confidence is affected? Do you find yourself saying no to social events because of your weight and lack of clothes that you enjoy? Are you worried how your weight is impacting your marriage? Do you avoid having sex with your partner because of your weight? Is your energy shot from having to carry all this extra weight? Do you secretly feel like your body is broken and things will never change, leading you to live a second-class life? If you said yes to even one of these things, here's the good news. None of these things are the real problem. The real problem is you haven't learned the shifts necessary to rebalance your hormones and lose the weight for good. Now, I feel your pain and the pain of the hundreds of women I've worked with in private practice. And after seeing these guidelines work every single time for the right women, I know it doesn't have to be this way. So here's the thing, this doesn't work for every woman. Now, right off the bat, I have a confession. While I wish I had discovered a unique combination that could help every woman suffering from stubborn weight, I didn't. The Goddess Body guidelines will not work for every woman. In fact, they won't work or are contraindicated for women who are on this list. So for women who have been looking for a magic bullet that will allow them to eat McDonald's 3 times a day and not get fat. Women who have a history of heart attack or cancer in the past year, in the past 365 days. Women who have an autoimmune condition that is in an active flare-up. Active, uncontrolled mental illness or eating disorders, so anorexia or bulimia. Women who are pregnant or breastfeeding, and vegetarians. So now if you're curious as to why these groups are contraindicated, see the star footnote at the bottom of this webpage for details why, in case you're interested. So if you fit any of these groups, I'm sorry that these guidelines can't help you, at least not right now. So it's probably better that we part ways now, as I don't want to waste your time. But if you aren't on this list, it means that the guidelines can work for you because of the multifaceted, multiple rebalancing approach that I'll explain soon. So if you are interested in rebalancing your hormones to lose weight, stick with me and it will all make sense by the end of our series. So we're going to cover one topic a day for the next week so you can finally lose the weight. Here's what's on our agenda for the next week, and if at any time you want to skip ahead or binge watch, use your intuition to guide you and just click the links at the top, the video links at the top of this page. So I like to say, try it on. If it fits, wear it. And listen to what you're being divinely called to tune into out of our series. It might be all of the videos, it might be 1 or 2 of the videos. So I trust that you can follow your divine guidance to pick your own adventure. So here's our topics in a bit more detail. The first video of the series is number 1, how subclinical hormonal imbalances are causing you to have stubborn fat. Number 2, why your mindset is absolutely crucial when it comes to rebalancing these hormones to lose weight. Number 3, how digestion and detoxification are critical to having healthy hormones. Number 4, how brain chemicals may have become imbalanced from first world living, contributing to crazy food cravings, erosion of willpower, and weight gain. Number 5, how many women, like 98.5% of women, have at least one obesity gene that needs to be supported to lose weight and prevent regaining it. Number 6, why other approaches you've tried have failed or even worsened things, plus how to undo the damage. And number 7, putting it all together to lose the weight. One stone, many birds, fast, effective results. So in a nutshell, number 1 is hormones, number 2 is mindset, so emotions and the divine feminine aspect. Number 3 is digest and detox. Number 4 is neurotransmitters. Number 5 is genetics. Number 6 is other approaches. And 7 is putting it all together to get your goddess body. So I hope that makes sense and you can understand what you're in for and guide yourself as appropriate using the links at the top of this page. So today's topic, video number 1, are your hormones making you fat? If you have any level of hormonal imbalance, whether your doctor has straight up diagnosed you with a hormonal disease or whether you have subclinical ones that they haven't spoken to you about, weight loss is going to be an absolutely uphill battle. One that most days is not worth it. Most women with stubborn weight have at least one or more imbalanced hormones from the list that we'll cover today. By the time we get to our final video in this series, you will see that it's not about treating or targeting each individual imbalance because that could take a lifetime. Hormones are all connected, so they need to be rebalanced together to get the best results. The good news is this is much faster. This is really about taking a targeted approach that kills many birds with one stone. getting you the results you want as quickly, as safely, as effectively, and as permanently as possible. So please keep this in mind as you progress and make sure to watch up to the last video to understand how to put it all together. Let's talk about our most crucial weight loss hormone first, leptin. So, leptin. Researchers at Rockefeller University in 1995 discovered the hormone leptin is responsible for satiety and appetite, making you stop eating sooner. However, 5 years later in 2000, Harvard Medical School discovered that it's not a deficiency in leptin that leads to weight gain, but rather the brain's inability to sense the leptin that's already present. This is called leptin resistance. So leptin, top signs of imbalance. Read these asking yourself if they apply to you. Are you overweight or normal weight but over fat? Do you have difficulty losing weight through normal means? Do you rarely feel full unless you stuff yourself? Do you feel like a bottomless pit? Do you always feel hungry or don't really know what true hunger is? Do you almost feel like you could eat another meal after your meal? A recent study in 2015 shows that this leptin resistance, beyond willpower, caloric reduction, and exercise, is actually the main reason people become and stay overweight. That's right. Almost no amount of willpower, caloric reduction, or exercise can correct this or help you lose weight if you have a leptin imbalance. And leptin resistance is the number one imbalance I see in the women I've worked with. Literally every single one of them has it, including myself. The issue is that exercise and nutrition alone fail to correct leptin resistance. Even participants on the show The Biggest Loser, when tested a year after the show, still had leptin problems. This means that in order to stay a healthy weight, they would have to fight against constant food cravings, hunger, and appetite surges because the body isn't responding correctly to leptin and doesn't know when it's actually full. A surefire method to regain all the lost weight. In fact, 13 of the 14 season 8 participants of that show gained back weight after the show, and 4 became even heavier than when they started. A new study now shows the tactics used ended up permanently damaging their metabolism. So this study was done specifically on The Biggest Loser. And this can be equally true for women with hormonal imbalances that try regular diets. That's why I made an entire video about that and how to correct the damage that regular diets do to women like us. Yet we now know there is a way to rebalance this lowered metabolism. So leptin imbalance, how did this happen? There are 3 causes. Number 1, eating a high carb diet. So anything over 100 to 150 grams a day. And honestly speaking, unless you work out hard, even more than 50 grams of carbs a day will be stored as fat. P.S. The average woman eats 330 grams of carbs a day. The problem? These carbs get converted into a specific fatty acid called palmitic acid. So carbs get stored as fat in a specific fat called palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is one of the most harmful saturated fats there are. It causes high cholesterol, heart disease, and it makes the brain numb to leptin. So even though your body is telling your brain you're full, your brain can't hear it. The more carbs you eat, the more hungry you will always be. The second cause of leptin resistance is inflammation. Inflammation mainly comes from eating too many carbs. So grains, legumes, and sugars of any type, including natural ones. Inflammation also comes from eating too much omega-6 fats. So for example, canola oil, rapeseed oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil, and these are in basically all processed foods from the grocery store or the restaurant. So unless you're cooking from scratch without these oils, you're inflaming yourself, and the inflammation makes you leptin resistant too. Now, the third cause of leptin resistance is high levels of body fat. This is a bit of a catch-22. Fat releases leptin basically in an attempt to tell the brain, hey, we're loaded up down here, stop eating. But the problem is, with loads of body fat, the brain gets an onslaught of leptin and becomes resistant to it. What can I say? The human brain was not designed for this. There were no obese cavemen. Most women have all three of these causes going on, causing ongoing leptin resistance. Now, what are the best rebalancing techniques? For starters, dropping excess carbs and aiming for 50 to 100 grams per day, possibly less depending on the person. Favor more protein and healthy fat instead, as these reprogram your leptin response. Decrease your omega-6 oils in your diet, vegetable, canola, rapeseed, soy, and focus instead on healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, macadamia, grass-fed butter or ghee, coconut products, grass-fed meat, and deep water fish and fish oil. Now, what are the benefits of rebalancing your leptin? When your leptin begins working for you instead of against you, it's easy to relearn true hunger and only eat when you're hungry, and easy to notice when you're full, which is a lot quicker than you probably realize. Most women have lost their true hunger signals in satiety signals, and instead eat based on crashing blood sugar or for emotional reasons, both of which we'll talk about in coming videos. The Goddess Body Guidelines restabilizes this hypoglycemia or dysglycemia picture and other subclinical blood sugar imbalances while optimizing leptin function and resensitizing your brain to leptin, meaning you can adequately determine once again when you're truly hungry and when you're truly full. This means you choose to eat less food less often, based entirely on what your body actually needs for nourishment, which leads to easier weight loss and easy to maintain results. No more starving yourself or having to try to use willpower to overcome intense hunger signals. Without being the victim of the blood sugar roller coaster, your meal-to-meal choices will be healthier, more nourishing, more nutrient dense, and less calorically dense. This means you get to feel good about how you nourish your body, and weight loss is no longer a struggle. You get to feel positive about being realigned with your body and knowing what it wants and needs. You get to lose weight easily, effortlessly, and smoothly in comparison to all the struggle you've dealt with. You get to partner with your body instead of feeling like it's constantly against you. That's a big one. And now we're going to move on to another really, really big one. The first two I mentioned are by far like the most pertinent two. The next one is insulin. This hormone's key job is to shuttle sugar from the bloodstream into the cells. It's also to build muscle and to store fat. So it's all about more. It's an anabolic hormone. So more fat, more muscle. Just think of it that way. So insulin, top signs of imbalance. The blood sugar roller coaster. You need to eat every few hours or have coffee to suppress your appetite. You get hangry, moody, or emotional when you don't eat. You have hair on your upper lip or chin or around the nipples or on your chest or stomach. You're losing hair on the top of the head, so male pattern baldness. You have ovarian cysts or signs of polycystic ovary syndrome. You have acne on your face or body, and you have stubborn weight, especially on the love handles or flanks, and upper back fat or bra line fat. Now, you don't need to have every single one of these symptoms to indicate an imbalance. So, why is it a problem? If you're insulin resistant and you feel any degree of moodiness or anger when missing a meal, this is a surefire sign your body only runs on carbs or coffee if you skip meals using coffee or caffeine. And your body is never given the opportunity to tap into body fat as a source of fuel. So your body will propel you to seek out high carb meals every few hours because that is its only source of fuel. So obviously it gets angry when it can't get its fuel. Why is it a problem continued? You have an ocean of energy available to you in stored body fat, but you're completely unable to tap into this resource. It's like that quote, water, water all around, but not a drop to be drunk. You know what I'm saying? Until you correct the insulin resistance, it's going to be very difficult to do so, to tap into your resource of body fat. You should be able to miss a meal no problem and cruise into fat burning mode without missing a beat. Did you know that? That's completely what's possible, but most women don't know that. So now, insulin imbalance, how did this happen? There are two causes. Number one is eating a high carb diet. So we're revisiting that one again. So anything more than 100 to 150 grams a day. Now, even good carbs count in this 100 to 150. Eating this many carbs, like more than that, equals a lot of insulin release, equals your body eventually stops listening to the memo and becomes resistant. Like I said, the average woman eats 330 grams of carbs per day, over triple what she should be having for healthy insulin functioning. The second cause is not enough exercise. Forget the chronic cardio that depletes the crap out of your adrenal glands. I'm not talking about that. I mean, not enough lifting heavy stuff, not enough high intensity interval training, not enough everyday walking. Usually, most women I meet and speak with are killing themselves for at least an hour on the treadmill, which is probably the worst form of exercise. Or they aren't doing any exercise. Or they sincerely believe walking is enough. It's only enough if you're medically obese. And they're pairing this with too many carbs. So voila, insulin resistance is born. So it may look like they're on a low calorie diet, like only eating 1,000 calories a day, but there are too many carbs in it. And they're killing themselves at the gym on a treadmill for an hour, 5 days a week, yet they're still fat. It's a miserable place to be, and I know because I used to be there many years ago. So in terms of the best rebalancing techniques for insulin, number one is drop the excess carbs. So aim for 50 to 100 grams per day, like we've already discussed for leptin. Number two, favor more protein and healthy fat instead of carbs, as these actually reprogram insulin response. Number three, choose root vegetables and other starchy veggies as your main sources of carbs. So ditch or minimize grains and legumes as carbs. Save fruit for the weekends or your treat day. So 1 day a week have fruit. Anything more than that is really too much for insulin levels. Choose berries as the top choice when you do have fruit. Choose stevia and erythritol, which are natural, calorie-free sweeteners, instead of sugar, artificial sweeteners, or even maple syrup, honey, and agave, as all of those ones, even though natural, mess with insulin. Even no-calorie sweeteners, the artificial types, mess with your insulin. The only ones that don't are stevia and erythritol. which are all natural. Lastly, exercise. Lifting weights 4 times a week and high intensity interval training 2 to 3 times per week are key for re-regulating an insulin imbalance. Now, what are the benefits of rebalancing insulin? Insulin resistance is even easier to correct than leptin resistance through the Goddess Body Guidelines combination of nutrients and lifestyle techniques. And within less than 3 months, women will decrease by 2 to 3 dress sizes, if not more. These techniques work synergistically to rebalance leptin and insulin together, which means body fat distribution begins to decrease and take on more of a feminine hourglass form. Fat that's governed by insulin normally stores itself in the love handles, the back, and to a degree under the arms, so the bat wings, or on the stomach. As this fat decreases and distributes more normally across the body, since insulin resistance has rebalanced, inches on the body are drastically lost. Wearing beautiful, body-flattering clothing becomes fun again. Women begin to feel like absolute goddesses as their body returns to the shape it was meant to be, the shape that reflects healthy hormonal control. So that sums up insulin. And next up, we're going to move to one of my favorites, which is adrenals. So the adrenals, these are glands that sit on your kidneys. Their key job is to keep you awake, alert, functioning, and energized, as well as to keep you safe from danger. So they are responsible for fight or flight. Now, what are the top signs of an adrenal imbalance? Well, ask yourself if you feel any of these. Feeling tired and wired, and or complete exhaustion. So falling asleep within seconds of hitting the pillow at night. Having an afternoon crash that requires sugar or caffeine or a nap to get through. Getting an energy spike in the evening. Waking up frequently in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. Having sugar cravings, as well as needing coffee or caffeine to wake up in the morning. How about a slow recovery time from workouts or injuries? And brain fog, poor memory, difficulty with recall, so recalling people's names when you see them, or other like words you can't remember, poor problem solving skills, and slower thinking. And especially storing fat on the belly and having the appearance of skinny legs and arms, but a big fat belly. This is more typical in women over the age of 50 because they've had more decades of suffering with the symptoms of this problem. So once again, you don't have to experience all of these to have an imbalance. You might only have 1 or 2 of these going on. So why is it a problem? We release cortisol from the adrenals under stress, and cortisol itself stores belly fat. Cortisol also blocks progesterone production, and without enough progesterone, we get fat. Cortisol blocks liver detoxification of estrogen, which means we have too much estrogen, which makes us fat. And cortisol becomes out of balance with insulin, so they're supposed to be partners. So we get all of the insulin resistant problems above. So that might trip you out. When we go back to thinking of insulin, maybe you are exercising right and eating lower carb, but if you have a stress and an adrenal problem, it can still throw off your insulin. Cortisol also steals from thyroid functioning, making thyroid hormones and metabolism drop. So I hope you're getting the picture here that this is really critical for so many facets of weight loss. And what I mean when I say hormones are all connected. One of the main issues with adrenals is taking on exercise. If a woman's adrenal glands are already depleted by life itself, she will be very unlikely to sustain an exercise plan, or an exercise plan will make her feel worse. Oftentimes, if she has any of the other hormone imbalances, she will have to exercise so hard to overcome them and lose weight in the face of them, like the Biggest Loser participants, that it will cause an adrenal imbalance that she might not have had yet. So it's always a catch-22. You cannot escape from this need to rebalance the hormones. How did this happen? Many things cause your physical body stress, whether you mentally perceive it or not. Now, most women do not. Stress itself can come from sitting in traffic, from working, from raising children, from eating foods your body doesn't like, even if you can't tell, from breathing in pollution, or over-exercising. Just because it's fun or mentally tolerable for you to run on coffee without food or sleep all day, it doesn't mean your physical body agrees with that. In fact, it's quite stressful. I share this because most of the women that come to me have broken the link of intuitively knowing what their body needs, and they can't intuitively hear or listen for what's missing in their health. So what are the best rebalancing techniques? Majorly removing as many stressors as possible from your life, including dietary stress. So taking on a low stress diet of anti-inflammatory whole foods. Living a slow life more often. So forget the whole work hard, play hard. Decrease intensity as much as possible. Sleeping every night before 11 p.m. Now it's critical. The actual time is critical because if you don't go to sleep before 11, you'll release another cortisol surge. And sleeping for at least 8 hours. Bonus points for sleeping in. Gentle restorative exercise like yin yoga and walking. And certain adrenal nutrients can help, like vitamin C, a B complex, magnesium, tyrosine, rhodiola, ashwagandha, and holy basil, to name a few. Those are all really, really helpful for rebalancing the adrenal glands. So what are the benefits of rebalancing? The adrenal glands can begin their healing journey through the Goddess Body Guidelines using the right nutrients. This is important both to help you finally lose the weight, but also to get back enormous amounts of locked away energy. The benefit to this is being more productive throughout the day, not needing to take naps, and being able to be awake and focused for longer. So better problem solving skills, sharper thinking, better short and long-term memory all return. This means you get to have your life back, more time on your side. Not only that, but the guidelines also teach you how to exercise properly to heal and protect your adrenals to keep you well. This ensures you can stay active without wasting hours in the gym and be strong in your day-to-day life. You get to feel energized and know you're doing something good for your body. Finally, working out to stay strong and to look great, but not to lose weight because it's already gone. So next up, let's talk about the thyroid. This gland's job is to keep metabolism high and to match metabolism properly to food and activity levels. Now, the top signs of imbalance: low energy, fatigue, losing hair diffusely from your head, your eyelashes, or your eyebrows, especially the last 1/3 of your eyebrows, having a slow reaction time, having dry skin and coarse hair, being overweight, having difficulty losing weight, and noticing that the neck looks fat, maybe having noticeable fat creases around the neck. And it takes excessive exercise to see a drop in weight. And on the flip side, the slightest cheat food causes enormous weight gain. So thyroid imbalance, why is it a problem? When the thyroid is imbalanced and slower in functioning, it converts less inactive T4 to active T3, the hormone needed for a high metabolism. It does this typically because the adrenal glands are imbalanced and the adrenals are stealing the nutrients needed to make cortisol from the thyroid. So the thyroid can't do its job. With less active T3, metabolism drops. And then all normal approaches of decreasing calories, like diets, actually decrease metabolism even more in the body's effort to save energy during a starvation response. So how did this imbalance happen? Living a stressful lifestyle that depleted your adrenals, so go back to the adrenal section, and also not getting enough minerals like selenium and iodine. Both are deficient in the typical modern diet. Another big cause is eating an inflammatory diet with lots of carbs like grains, legumes, and sugars, as well as the omega-6 oils we've already spoken about in processed foods, so inflammation. So what are the best rebalancing techniques? First and foremost, get your adrenals healthy again. Refer back to that section. Secondly, eat sea vegetables and seaweeds like the nori that's found on sushi. I'm not suggesting that you eat the rice, but do eat the seaweed. Eat seafood in general, as that is rich in these minerals. And follow an anti-inflammatory whole foods nutritional plan most of the time. You can also consider taking L-tyrosine, selenium, and general adrenal support because that can really help with this imbalance. Now, what are the benefits of rebalancing? So, typical diets and exercise for someone with adrenal and thyroid issues actually lead to lower long-term metabolism, where eating a normal diet with normal amounts of food after they come off of whatever they were trying will actually cause constant weight gain. That's why it's so critical to address the underlying imbalances in order to correct this and restore yourself to normal. Then your body will begin responding normally to nutrition and exercise. And this is exactly what the Goddess Body Guidelines do through their specific combination of nutrients and techniques so that you can eat normally again. What's interesting is that one of the cornerstones of proprietary nutrients in the Goddess Body Guidelines has actually been studied and shown to increase mitochondria, or energy-producing parts of the muscles. Indirect calorimetric tests show that participants using these strategies actually show an increased metabolism after they undertake this strategy. This is completely the opposite of what we see with typical diets, where metabolism drops after a diet. And when we tested several patients' TSH, their thyroid stimulating hormone, in clinic, we noticed that their TSH got better after these guidelines were followed. One patient was actually able to come off of her thyroid medication and was no longer classified as hypothyroid. And another client is close on her trail to do the same after her medical doctor already lowered her dose twice. Again, this is the exact opposite of what you see in any type of starvation calorie deficit diet. The guidelines can increase your metabolism again by directly targeting the thyroid functioning and the metabolism of muscles. This leads to increased fat burning, faster fat loss, and a focus on fat loss instead of muscle loss. This means you achieve a sleek, sexy look sooner and can feel incredible inside of a strong body, not a sick, tired, and depleted one that's been ravaged by over-exercising and under-eating. It also means you can return to eating normal amounts of food, so no more having to live off 900 calories a day, otherwise you risk going overweight again. So here's a case study where RL's thyroid function improves. So one client, RL, began the guidelines and lowered her TSH level from 4.01 to 3.69, a sign that her metabolism is going up and her thyroid is healing. Her prior thyroid score, like I said, was 4.01, and after enacting the guidelines, it lowered to 3.69, which is unheard of with any of the diets out there. She suspects it's lowered even more since then. She's due for a follow-up lab test, and she's now come off of her thyroid medications completely. Like she says here, "Hey Erica, so in August my TSH was 4.01 and my doctor said that was so close to normal that she isn't worried. But I said I wanted to do something about it. So she put me on a dose of thyroid meds and the next blood test showed 0.15. She lowered the dosage and I was taking the pills until December 28 because I forgot to take them on our trip to Cape Breton. I just had my blood work done again and it shows at 3.69. Doctor says that's good, but reading that I have done says the new normal is 3 to 3.0. I don't know. Sorry, I know you don't have your shingle out anymore. However, can you tell me what your thoughts are, please? RL." So that was just her email stating how her thyroid has improved. And then you can see here what her test came in at. So you can see here she's a 63-year-old female. Her TSH is 3.69 now. Her free T4 is 12 and her free T3 is 4.0. So that is fantastic. So now I want to move on to another hormone. This is a female hormone, progesterone. Progesterone, this hormone plays a critical role in female health and anti-aging, as well as weight. So what are the top signs of imbalance? Well, heavy periods now or before. So even if you're now in menopause, did you end off on really heavy periods? Did you have clots? Periods lasting longer than 5 days of bleeding, with lots of blood loss and frequent changing of pads? Did it even cause you to have low iron? Did you or have you experienced endometriosis or fibroids? How about periods that start or end on brown colored flow? How about breast tenderness, swelling, and bloating of the breasts, the abdomen, or even the hands and feet throughout your cycle? Or PMS, mood swings, being bitchy, depression, and low sex drive. So if you had any of those, that's a sign that your progesterone is imbalanced, or it was, and now it's just hard for you to tell if you no longer have a period. And if you didn't correct it, it's still there. I hope you get that. So progesterone imbalance, why is it a problem? It fails to balance out estrogen. So this is another partnership of hormones. So estrogen runs rampant and causes fat gain, especially on the hips, the outer and inner thighs, and the butt. So if you have fat predominantly in those areas, you possibly have a progesterone imbalance. It also fails to bind thyroid binding globulin, or TBG, a substance which, when it's left unbound like that, goes on to attack your thyroid and decrease metabolism. It fails to lower insulin levels, one of its key jobs, so you're more likely to become insulin resistant. Can you see now the teamwork effect that healthy hormones have? Failing to lower insulin means more sugar and chocolate cravings, especially around periods. It fails to lower inflammation, another of its key jobs. So more inflammation leads to more leptin resistance, and more thyroid problems too. So team hormones are down for the count. Without enough progesterone, you suffer sleep deprivation. So that's something a lot of postmenopausal women see. Their sleep starts to suck. This leads to increased appetite and eating 300 or more calories per day. Progesterone is also a natural diuretic, so without it, you retain fluids like whoa. Water weight is heavy on the scale. So how did this happen? Well, a typical stressful first world lifestyle, which is one of the main causes. So most North American women experience progesterone deficiency eventually. Stress depletes adrenal glands, which then steal from progesterone production. Estrogen became too high and progesterone can't balance it, leading to the same symptoms. So this can happen by breathing in exhaust fumes, commuting, breathing off-gassing air of furniture, paints, glues, including the glue in your coffee cup, drinking and eating out of plastic containers, taking the birth control in the last 5 to 10 years. All of those things cause elevated estrogen. So even if your progesterone is normal, they should be like a pair, like twin sisters, if you will. But if you've raised your estrogen artificially from these causes, it looks like your progesterone is low, even though it's not. And it's going to give you the same amount of symptoms and the same weight gain problems. The other thing is pregnancies, one or many. So after a pregnancy, you can deplete yourself of progesterone. So what are the best rebalancing techniques for progesterone? Number one is address your adrenal gland health. You're going to see how it keeps coming back to that quite a bit. So de-stress. Botanicals like wild yam and chaste tree can be helpful in this process, as well as B complex vitamins, especially B6. And consuming healthy fats like evening primrose oil and borage oil. And now some women actually also benefit from bioidentical hormone therapy like progesterone cream. So that's not something that I'm going to widely suggest as a rebalancing technique, because you would need to work with a doctor one-on-one to get that prescription. So what are the benefits of rebalancing progesterone? It's now evident that our hormones are interconnected and interdependent. And if you were to go about addressing each imbalance separately, it would take you years to get better and lose weight. It would cost you thousands of dollars and lots of lost time. Contrarily, the Goddess Body Guidelines use specific multi-effect nutrients and techniques that essentially kill many birds with one stone. The nutrients in particular allow the body to naturally rebalance progesterone so that you can lose weight again. This is different from giving your body a drug, so like HRT, which forces the body to have more progesterone. And bioidenticals and HRT are very different, just so you know. Instead, taking a nutrient-based approach means your body has what it needs to make its own progesterone, enough so that you can lose weight again, and then it can stop making it when needed. This is why natural approaches carry a much lower risk of side effects. And when you rebalance your progesterone plus your leptin and insulin together using the Goddess Body Guidelines through a clinically proven, scientifically backed plan, you get a guaranteed weight loss of 25 pounds in 2 months or less. Of course, not everyone has 25 pounds to lose, which is why the guidelines also teach you how to lock in at any weight and stay there. The Goddess Body Guidelines create your new weight goals fully, efficiently, and quickly in these 25-pound increments. Now you can finally wear your goddess body for life. So I want you to imagine how it will feel to finally put your weight problem behind you, to step into your goddess body and finally feel like the real you, the one you've been waiting for, in a fraction of the time and without the frustration of ineffective diets or exercise plans. Of course, you can take the long road if you really want to and address each imbalance on its own. The issue is that there's still more under the hood. So we're getting close to the end, but I have a few more to share with you. The other one is estrogen, which I said was a partner to progesterone. So this hormone plays a key role in female health and anti-aging as well, and weight loss, very, very similarly to progesterone. So we're going to look for a second at low estrogen. What are the top signs of imbalance? So absent or irregular periods, problems with ovulation and fertility issues, hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness and leading to painful intercourse. And then on the flip side, what about high estrogen, top signs of imbalance? So with high estrogen, we see fibroids, endometriosis, any type of growth in the uterus. So it could be other types of growths that you might have. Heavy periods, clots in the flow. The larger they are, the worse the estrogen is. So I've heard of women having clots the size of a pencil eraser or their pinky nail. I've heard of women passing clots the size of grapefruits. Periods starting or ending on brown colored flow. So to see how high estrogen impacts your ability to lose weight, refer back to the progesterone section because it's the same play-by-play. Now, the top signs of an imbalance too with estrogen are that the imbalances lead to storing weight on the butt, the hips, the inner and the outer thighs. So saddlebags, those types of things. These women can typically have very tiny upper bodies, so tiny waist and arms, maybe tiny breasts even, and very curvaceous lower bodies with big hips and thighs. So those are top signs of estrogen imbalance. Now, why is it a problem? Low estrogen is often present when the ovaries are no longer able to make estrogen after menopause, and the adrenal glands fail to take over the task like they're supposed to because they are depleted from a stressful life. In that case, estrogen is made from the body fat. This means your body will want to hang on to the fat for dear life because it is receiving so much needed estrogen from it. Until you can heal your ovaries and adrenals and make your own estrogen again, weight loss is going to be a painful battle. This is often why women see weight gain after menopause. So low estrogen and low progesterone, both of which can be prevented or addressed by healing the adrenal glands, creates this weight gain issue. So how did this happen? Adrenal imbalances from a high stress lifestyle means your adrenal glands are unable to help you produce enough estrogen. Interestingly, we do not see this issue in South American or Asian women, where they are noted in general as having less stressful lifestyles and therefore better adrenal health. Now, I mean women living in South America or Asia. I don't mean Asian women that have come to Canada. So the minute that people come to Canada or the US or other first world countries like the UK or Australia, they then start to develop our first world problems of hormonal imbalances like this. So estrogen, what are the best rebalancing techniques? I'm a broken record. Supporting adrenal health as per what we've already discussed. Sometimes supplementing with botanicals like red clover, soy isoflavones, and hops can really help as well. And what are the benefits of doing this, of rebalancing estrogen? Once your body has an alternative source of estrogen coming in from the ovaries or the adrenal glands, it no longer needs to rely on body fat. And you can finally stop hanging on to fat for dear life. Body fat becomes so much easier to lose once the hormones are balanced and happy to let go of that fat. So next up is testosterone, and we are just flying through these last few hormones here. Testosterone, this hormone, plays a key role in women of maintaining lean muscle. It's supposed to say lean muscle mass, keeping muscle high relative to body fat, playing roles with energy, stamina, drive, and libido. So what are the top signs of imbalance? Fatigue, poor exercise tolerance, prone to storing fat on the love handles and abdominal fat, low libido, difficulty maintaining or building muscle mass, and loss of motivation or competitive edge. So testosterone is important in women as it is in men. We have about 1/10 the amount that men have, but you can see it still plays a critical role for us. So testosterone imbalance, why is it a problem? It will be harder to lose just fat, and you're more likely to lose fat and muscle at the same time if you take on any type of plan or diet or exercise. And then you'll end up skinny fat, a very unsexy scenario that puts you at a high risk of future disease and having to depend on someone else to take care of you. Muscle mass is correlated to how long you can live independently. Skinny fat means you have a flabby, thin body with potentially loose skin, and you're lacking the vital, lithe look that muscle provides. Instead, it creates a weak and unattractive look. Now, we don't promote skinny here. We only promote strong, sexy, healthy, feminine goddess bodies like our Venus de Milo statue. So how did this imbalance happen? Emotional and physical stress, obesity, aging, as well as a history of dieting, not eating enough good fats, which are the basis of our sex hormones, and even being on opioid pain medication and steroids can all lower testosterone. So, what are the best rebalancing techniques? Heal your adrenals and manage stress. Focus on eating healthy proteins and healthy fats, which I mentioned several times above already. The mineral zinc can help you, although it generally has to come from a supplement since you need about 100 milligrams per day. Certain botanicals can also help rebuild testosterone, like tribulus, horny goatweed, and maca are all very good. And lift heavy things 4 times per week. I've already made that suggestion for other hormones. It's equally great for testosterone. And now, what are the benefits of rebalancing? The Goddess Body guidelines place an emphasis on healing the adrenal glands so that they can make adequate testosterone again. This means the focus is on losing fat while preserving vital muscle tissue, so that when you lose the weight, you look vital, strong, and healthy while avoiding the skinny fat look. You get to feel sexy and taut while preserving muscle and feel good knowing you aren't sacrificing your health to lose weight. I just got a message a few days ago from one of the clients that said she's the same weight now using these techniques. She's 150 now. Versus when she did Dr. Bernstein many years ago, she became 150. She looked completely different. With Dr. B, she was skinny fat, and now she's tight and toned and lean. So she was just mind blown that she's managed to lose fat instead of lean tissue and look completely different at this weight. So I would have included that in here, but it was just like too recent to add to the slideshow. But I thought that was awesome. All right, DHEA. We're into our final 4 hormones that can cause weight gain, and these ones we're gonna fly through. So this hormone plays key roles in anti-aging and muscle mass. Signs of imbalance: pro-aging, wrinkled thinning skin, so aging faster than your peers, losing muscle mass, gaining fat, and it's much easier to get fat and much harder to gain muscle than it used to be. So we typically start seeing this symptom as early as age 30, maybe even late 20s if you've really depleted yourself. So the strategies that used to work for you are not working anymore. So DHEA imbalance, why is it a problem? It's a deadly combo of losing muscle mass and being super easy to gain fat, which creates a physique no one's proud of. Again, it's that skinny fat look, if not just being overweight with no muscle. So DHEA imbalance, how did this happen? DHEA naturally declines every year after age 30, in some of us faster than others because of adrenal fatigue and stress. And the best rebalancing techniques, I personally supplement with DHEA, which you can only get from a medical doctor in Canada or over the counter in the US, because I want to slow my aging as much as possible. And I also have personal adrenal issues that I'll share in the next video. I don't recommend doing this on your own without speaking to a healthcare provider, because there are specific lab tests you need to run to determine if you need DHEA and how much. Because supplementing it can cause issues in some women, like hair loss on the head and hair growth on the face. What's also critical is that good old adrenal health picture again. So de-stressing and healing the adrenals so that they can naturally boost DHEA production. So again, coming at it from an in-house production point instead of a supplement point is a lot safer. So what are the benefits of rebalancing? Not to beat a dead horse, but the focus of the Goddess Body guidelines on adrenal restoration means that DHEA production can naturally pick up again. More DHEA for you means faster, better weight loss, whereby building muscle becomes easier and losing fat becomes easier. So both of those things are easier instead of harder. This gives you an easier to maintain body that looks good as you age and slows your aging process relative to the average first world woman. You get to look your best no matter what your age is and feel great caring for your body inside and out. I want to look at a DHEA case study of SS who showed hormonal improvement. So this is the case study of SS. She's a 48-year-old woman who undertook the Goddess Body guidelines. In the process, she corrected her cortisol, so her adrenal health, her estrogen. She improved her testosterone to almost perfect levels and brought her DHEA back up over the span of 8 months, while also taking off 70 pounds. So here's what she says. Hormone panel is in. Drum roll, my estrogen, normal. My progesterone, normal. My testosterone, below range. 15 is normal range and I am 14. DHEAS, high end of range. I am anti-aging, baby. My 4-point cortisol test in the morning is normal, noon is normal, PM is normal, and bedtime, normal. A nice ski slopes. That's one thing she had been working on. So a nice improvement from elevated estrogen and lower testosterone. According to my period symptoms before the protocols, my progesterone was tanking out too, and I had a cortisol slope before, but it bottomed at 5 p.m. and now that's normal. So going to do some tweaking with my testosterone and start working out next week. Not to mention 70 pounds lighter, feeling younger, wearing clothes I love, more confidence, and upgrading my life in my relationships and my career. Very awesome mood and no PMS, ripping throats out with my teeth feeling. Happier than I have felt in a long time. Big smile. So that is some pretty awesome results with not only the DHEA, but all of her hormones. Next, we're going to get into HGH, human growth hormone. So this is, I'm referring to naturally occurring HGH in the human body, which governs cell reproduction and cell regeneration, so anti-aging. Now, top signs of imbalance of HGH would be dry, thin, and especially sagging skin, loose skin with weight loss, menopause in general, loss of muscle tone, and being overweight. So why is it a problem? Low HGH makes it hard to build and maintain muscle, so metabolism stays low. It makes it easy to store fat and also comes with a higher risk of heart disease and weak bones. Low HGH is also the reason why when people lose weight on typical diets, they get loose, saggy skin. The Goddess Body guidelines actually combat this by beginning to heal HGH imbalances from the inside out and specifically prevent loose, saggy skin with weight loss. So HGH imbalance, how did this happen? Well, sleeping with light exposure instead of a pitch black room, having high alcohol consumption at any point in your life, and aging in general. And now, what are the best rebalancing techniques? Sleeping in total darkness, follow sleep hygiene rules like avoiding sleeping with the TV on or blue screen or light exposure before bed. And exercising, lift heavy things 4 times per week. That'll really help. Eating more proteins and good fats. Also, the supplement melatonin can help. Now, what are the benefits of rebalancing? The Goddess Body guidelines focus on naturally increasing your own HGH production, which means you get to turn back the clock on aging while losing weight more effectively and with a much lower risk of loose, saggy skin. You get to lose weight without being afraid your face will look gaunt and unhealthy or that your skin will sag off your body when the weight is gone. This means you get all the health promoting benefits of weight loss plus the ability to look sexy and as taut as possible. So that sums up HGH, and let's move on to our last two. This one is melatonin. So melatonin, this hormone regulates sleep, and this is a master hormone impacting almost all other hormones. So if you think of it like a cascade, this one is at the top. What are the top signs of a melatonin imbalance? Poor sleep, feeling awake after 10 p.m., difficulty falling or staying asleep, forgetfulness, low immunity. So why is it a problem? Studies show that poor sleep, even by an hour, will lead to eating an average of 300 to 400 more calories a day, which means constant weight gain over time. Without high enough melatonin and proper sleep, other hormone cascades won't fire properly, causing imbalances in the hormones above that we already spoke about, and leads to an inability to use carbs and fat properly and be more likely to store fat instead of burn it for fuel. You can see it also leads to an increased production of fat tissue, and it fails to lower and improve insulin and leptin sensitivity, so they won't work as well. You'll feel hungrier because of the insulin and leptin issues, hence you'll eat on average an extra 400 calories a day. So many avenues through which a melatonin deficiency will cause weight problems. Melatonin imbalance, how did this happen? Poor sleep causes low melatonin, and low melatonin causes poor sleep, so it's a perpetual cycle. Menopause alone can cause it, especially if female hormones like progesterone and estrogen are imbalanced. High alcohol consumption can do it, and sleeping with light exposure on after dark or in the room. So if you're exposing yourself to light after sunset, or if you have light in the room, these can cause it too. What are the best rebalancing techniques? Well, focus on sleep hygiene, develop a solid bedtime routine, sleep in a pitch black room with no stimulation, consider taking melatonin as a supplement, and rebalance any of the other above imbalances. So like especially adrenals, especially focusing on that, and female hormones. What are the benefits of rebalancing melatonin? The Goddess Body guidelines focus on restoring healthy sleep patterns both directly through lifestyle and nutrient techniques, but also indirectly by working to rebalance hormonal cascades naturally. Women often report better sleep early on in the program, and this leads to easier weight loss, reaching your goals much more quickly, and benefiting from the increased energy that a good night's rest can bring. You get to feel happy, calm, and stable while increasing your productivity and effectiveness, often getting back lost time in your day because you complete tasks sooner, you're better slept. So that sums up melatonin. Lastly, I'm going to share a bit with you about prolactin. So this hormone plays a key role in breastfeeding. Top signs of a prolactin imbalance would be headaches, visual disturbances, infertility, irregular periods, possibly even PCOS type symptoms, milky discharge from the breasts, but yet you're not pregnant or breastfeeding, and excessive facial hair growth. So why is it a problem? Well, the prolactin itself causes weight gain, and it comes from a benign brain tumor called a prolactinoma. Prolactin is the hormone that makes women produce breast milk during and after pregnancy. This is extremely rare, but I have seen 3 cases of it in my private practice. So it is worth mentioning here just in case. So how did this happen? Well, theories still abound, but one theory is exposure to the plastic chemical BPA can cause it, which also comes from receipt paper. So people handling a lot of receipts. And the best rebalancing techniques? The only way to treat this is to work with your medical doctor right away. The Goddess Body guidelines can help play a supportive role as they provide the right nutrients and a framework for weight loss, but seeking appropriate medical care and diagnosis is critical for this one. Women are usually told to take medications like cabergoline or bromocriptine, especially if they want to lose weight or get pregnant. So the benefits of rebalancing: you'll finally be able to lose weight, provided you've also addressed any other imbalances and are eating healthy and getting enough physical activity. Again, extremely rare. This is one of the groups of people who, they can do the Goddess guidelines, but they need to address this with their medical doctor concurrently at the same time, concomitantly. But it's worth mentioning because, like I said, I've worked with 3 women now that have had a prolactinoma, or this benign brain tumor. So that's why I share it. So to sum it all up, It is all connected. I'm sure you get that by now. Like, I'm sure you've seen the interconnectedness now that I've gone through the hormones, and you can sense that, yes, this really is all connected. Today's video is the most in-depth because it serves as the foundation of weight loss for women like us. Here's the thing. In a later video, we'll get into exactly why typical approaches won't ever work for women like us, so diets and exercise plans. On the one hand, this sounds depressing and is extremely frustrating to have to put up with. And many of us have tried so many approaches and failed. On the other hand, this is also the most liberating moment for you. Literally all that stands in your way of achieving the weight loss, the goddess body, and the divine life that you want and deserve is simply rebalancing your hormones. It doesn't have to be difficult, hard, or arduous, and you can begin losing large amounts of weight. So we're talking 25 to 40 pounds on average in only 6 to 8 weeks. We'll talk about how this works and why it works so quickly in a future video. But for now, what I'll say is this. Your body wants to be lean. It wants to be healthy. It wants to return to a healthy weight. The human body is constantly designed to seek balance. And when you remove the blocks that are stopping it, the healing process happens quickly. It doesn't require crazy effort or work. It just requires the removal of these blocks. The healing of the imbalances we've talked about in this video. So you aren't crazy. Typical approaches really haven't worked for you, and not to any fault of your own, and they probably never will. Those approaches have not been in alignment with your type of stubborn weight gain. And what was it that Albert Einstein said? Trying the same thing again and again is the definition of insanity. Well, I feel you. So let's be crazy no longer and try something new. So coming up, the next video, what we're going to get into is all about mindset. So this includes emotional eating, food addictions, even energetic and spiritual reasons for being overweight. We've talked about what these hormonal imbalances are, but did you know a lot of them actually stem from mindset issues? And I'll explain why one of the biggest issues happens when we as women try to act too much like men, both in our lives and with our weight loss techniques. This leads to massive hormonal imbalances and extremely stubborn weight gain. So I will catch you in the next video. So you can either wait until tomorrow to have video number 2 delivered to your inbox, or you can scroll to the top or bottom of this page to see video number 2 now. Or if you already know you want more help with this issue, you can skip ahead to video number 7 by going to the top or bottom of this page, and that's going to teach you about the Goddess Body program. So thank you so much for joining me on our meatiest video of the week, our most foundational video of everything that I share with the women that I work with. It's been such a pleasure and joy to share this with you. And if it's resonating for you to learn more about the mindset aspect, I highly, highly, highly invite you to come join me on the next video, because that's going to get, in a freakish way, it's going to get even more into where these hormonal imbalances are coming from. Today I've included the very physical world reasons that this is all happening, but there's a deeper mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual reason why you've allowed those physical reasons to even happen in the first place. So that's what I mean. This shit is deep. So please, if that resonates for you, join me in video number 2 on mindset. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next one.